We have made it to the final instalment of our Discovering Deals Week with John Howard. I hope you've enjoyed our coverage as much as I've enjoyed talking to John. We always have fun with you, John, and you're so generous with sharing your knowledge. And I think, throughout this week, we've learned some of the kind of traits of your secrets of success. And I hope everybody's been making notes, because there's been some fantastic little gems dropped along the way. But today, just to close out the week, we're going to be talking about kind of finding and discovering deals outside of the box. And this is really outside of the normal channels that we've already discussed, like auctions, estate agents, etc. And we do hear of off-market deals and people claiming to have
the
these
infamous off-market deal. This is off-market, John. Yes. Really? Yeah.
So, John, what's the kind of ways that you find deals outside of the box?
Well, it's very interesting. There's lots of ways, Vanessa, of finding deals. And some are looking for a needle in a haystack, which I think is a bit crazy. And as the saying goes, even a blind squirrel finds the odd acorn, but my goodness, it might take you 10 years to do it. Then there are more sensible routes to go. So the first route, I would say, and we mentioned it earlier on in the week, is commercial agents. Mm-hmm. Commercial agents have got lots of properties that were residential, now commercial, that can now go back to residential. So get to know all your commercial agents locally. They're much more entrepreneurial normally than the estate agent, and they're good to work with. So, and they don't understand residential. I've got a great friend who's a commercial agent. He rings me up, so I've got a great residential deal for you, John. I said, it's not a great deal. I said, you know nothing about residential. You're commercial. Stick to what you know. But of course, because of that, there's an angle. Because what they can't make it work as commercial, you may be able to make as residential. So that's a great angle. So commercial is super. And of course, they don't put their stock normally on all the portals. So no one knows about it half the time. And if they don't get paid, commercial agents, if they don't get paid for doing everything, even the brochure, they don't do it. So they're not like the residential guys and girls who will do everything and get paid at the end. These girls and guys need a fee of something to put it on the market and all the rest of it. So they're worth talking to. The next lot of people that I would certainly work with at the moment are receivers. These are people who where property's gone into liquidation or receivership, and these people are they're accountants that specialise in receiverships. And at the end of the day, someone's gone bankrupt. That property has to be sold. And once a receiver squeezes as much money out of it as he can, then they'll sell at any price. Because they won't take a property on, an administrator or a receiver won't take a property on or business on unless they can get paid. If there's nothing in it, it goes to the government.
How do you get the intros to those people though, John?
Great thing about there's a thing called the World Wide Web, Vanessa. I've discovered it in the last few years. It's very good. And get on there, get a list of all the receivers in your area. You don't need to go to the whole country. In your area, ring them up. Guess
or LinkedIn?
What? Yeah, maybe. But I would just ring them up. They're all their names, and ring them up and say, hi, have you got any properties at the moment that you're looking to dispose of, which are receiverships? Great way of doing it. Great way. Another thing is asset managers. Now, every building society and lending institution, including bridging companies, will tell you, and crowdfunders, we hardly ever repossess anything. What a load of rubbish. They're repossessing every day, and even more so shortly, I'm sure. Get hold of the building societies, for instance, find out who their asset manager is. They don't like getting their hands dirty themselves. They let someone else do all the dirty work. So they will have what's called an asset manager manage the property from the moment it's been repossessed, boarded up, to when it's sold. So you need to find out who the asset managers are, talk to the asset managers. They will probably give you a list of all the properties that need to be sold. And they may well be with an agent, and eventually they'll go into an auction if they can't sell them. And they need to sell so many a month for their lending institution, their client. And if they don't, guess what happens? They get another one. So that's also, I think, a great source. A great source. Then you've got more basic things. Someone told me the other day, he just printed 2,500 leaflets and put them through doors. It's a bit like being a Conservative and coming up to the election. That's what we do. But I mean, goodness me, that's hard work. I mean, I'm not saying you won't get the odd deal that way. And I know a friend of mine in Liverpool, he walks the streets, and in certain areas, it's going to be more successful than others. And he does very well doing that. So that's another angle. The other thing is you can put a very simple advert in the paper saying properties bought for cash. Now, they're all bought for cash. Someone's putting the money up, aren't they? So, immediate decisions. And over the years, that's worked quite well for me in a recession. And now I've got someone I mentor, actually. He's very cleverly started a website. And it's creating, we buy any property for cash. There's lots of them around now. And he's getting probably 50 leads a month from that. So, bright young man, knows what he's doing, and he's buying at a discount. So there's lots of ways of looking and finding deals. And you just have to make it happen. As I say, you need to get off your backside and make it happen.
And these are all just kind of thinking laterally, aren't they?
Yeah, really. I'm sure others will have a load more than me. They might have some that I can take away.
Personally, for me, where I've done well when I'm in buying mode is I go to developers and they've got stock units. But you're a developer, so you don't want me to say this. But sometimes you might want to sell at a slight discount.
Of course we do. On occasions, very, very rarely, of course, Vanessa. But what I would do, if it's a big firm you're looking at and they're PLC, look at when the half-year results need to be out and the year results, and go and see them 2 months beforehand and say, what have you got? And if they're below their targets, they'll do a deal. They'll do a deal on new build. If you want to buy a new build, the difficulty, I think, when you build is, on the whole, it comes with a premium. It's like buying a new car. To a point, not always, and you've got to be careful. But I mean, that's another one. There we are. We can go on all day with those, can't we? I mean, goodness me, I hope they're all writing them down.
Well, I think also, it goes kind of full circle back to right at the beginning of the week where we started talking about the importance of relationships. And, when I was building our portfolio between 2004 and 2009, I befriended a lot of people in the sales offices. And one lady we bought a property at her site, she closed that site out, and then a few months later she rang me up and she said, I'm working on this really nice site in Walthamstow now, and we've had a sale fall out of bed. It's a lovely 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom flat with the views of the reservoir and the London city skyline. She said, it really is nice, you'll love it. Come and see it, we can do a deal. And that was because I'd nurtured that relationship with her. And I just want to reiterate what you said, John, about treating the salespeople, the estate agents with respect, because a few years ago I did a little bit of work on the other side of the desk, working in a developer's sales office. I was doing a bit of freelance work, and people were absolutely awful to me. They were so rude, and yet these people have knowledge. They move from site to site. So
important. Whoever you're talking to, make them feel the most important person. And that goes through life, basically, not just when you want to get a deal. Make people feel special, make them feel important about themselves. Just to stop and say, I remember that, my kids were younger, whether it's the gardener or whoever, or Lord, someone we know, treat everyone the same. Good morning, good afternoon. Everyone gets treated the same, and that's how it should be.
I think it is. What other ways can people kind of think laterally, John? I think one of the things that we touched on, but again worth reiterating, is that if you do start to have a presence on social media, you start talking about the kind of projects you do, the kind of things you're looking for, rather than you going to find people, which isn't a particularly efficient way of doing things. You have people finding you.
Yes, I mean, that happens to me more and more now. I'm just starting, my John Howard joint venture fund because of that, because I'm getting a lot of people come to me and want my help and want my money, to be quite blunt about it, or my backer's money, or somebody's money. In some cases I can help them, in other cases I can't. But that's absolutely right. So the more you do on social media, clearly I'm learning, the more you do, the more people know you and the more people come and see if you can help them. The other thing we haven't mentioned is property clubs, of course, because all the clubs around the country, I know they've been doing by Zoom, not physically, but it's so much of a networking opportunity there. You know, none of us can buy every property. None of us have got the money or the ability to do that. Nobody has in the whole country, not in the Duke of Westminster. No one has. So, you know, if someone's heard about a property, you can give them a finder's fee. They'll be happy. I earn reasonable money a year out of finder's fees. You know, where I get offered a deal, it doesn't suit me, or I can't fund it, or whatever at the moment, whatever it might be. I know who buys those. I'll speak to them, and then I get a 2% finder's fees, normally 2%. And fortunately, I do a few of those a year. You know, we all, you know, none of us are too proud to take a decent fee off a deal. So that's what it's about. And
you also reward people that introduce deals to you, and you're very generous in the commission that you pay, and you want them to make you the number one person that they call when they hear of something.
Absolutely, I'm glad you said that. So people say to me, well, why do you get the deals and I don't? Well, funny enough, because I pay a finder's fee and you're too tight, or you agree a fee and then you backtrack on it, which is awful and wrong. You know, I didn't make as much, I'm not going to make as much money, I'll give you half, and all this business. If you've agreed a deal and fee, pay them. If you make less, that's your problem. They've still found you the deal. And by the way, I know there's been people promoting the fact that with the deal finders, deal sorcerers, all you have to do is find someone a property and you get paid out. That is not right, and you shouldn't be doing it. You need to wait until you've completed the purchase and then pay them. But there's been some people paying people for introducing them to a property before they've bought it themselves. You know, because they've just introduced it. That's mad. Who would do that in their right mind? But they are.
There's a lot of that going on, John, and the whole deal sourcing industry is completely unregulated.
Totally.
Whereas, you know, when we're talking about professional estate agents, that is a highly regulated area, and they are subject to various different government acts that they have to adhere to, like being a member of an ombudsman scheme, having, anti-money laundering procedures in place, you know, liability insurance. You know, it's a highly regulated area. And I think, again, this is why I always think estate agents are underrated, because they are regulated.
They are underrated, Vanessa. And we own 5 fine and country offices in Norfolk, so more upmarket agents. And it costs a lot of money to run an agency. And the saying goes, if you don't sell a property for 3 months, you're bankrupt. And that's honestly true. You know, it's a tough business to be in. Your overheads don't go down because you're quiet at all. And it's a very expensive business to run, and risky business to run. And the people who run them, I admire them, because it isn't easy. The other ones, by the way, while we're thinking, is property management companies, because they get lots of properties come empty. The people decide they want to sell it. You know, if they can sell it direct and get a fee out of it, they'll be delighted to talk to you. So to make sure people know that one as well. Property management agents.
And lettings agents as well. Same thing, because they do have landlords that are selling up. So you can go to a lettings agent instead of a sales agent. We're coming to the end of this wonderful week, John. This friend of mine that I mentioned before, who has these little gems of saying, he says, always leave something in the deal for somebody else.
There's nothing sweet in nothing. Same thing, really. So nothing sweet in nothing. So always leave something in for the next person. You know, 2 things. I never worry about what someone's paid for property if I'm buying it off them. Good luck to them. If they've made a lot of money out of it, who cares? Why should I care? As long as I know what I can make, that's all that matters. Leave something in for the next man. I've got a reputation for being a trader, if you like, a dealer, trader. So I get people say, what have you got, John? I need to buy something quickly. You know, I keep my men busy. What have you got? And I say, well, we've got this. Okay, we'll buy that, or whatever. They get a discount. You know, that's what it's about. It's about, and also keeping your money moving. You know, it's so hard. If you're doing one development and it takes you 2 years, you need to be doing something else in the meantime. You need to, you know, work hard, find some deals. you know, buy and sell them, and or find a JV partner that can do that. So that's what it's about.
And one final thing, John, obviously your eyes are open all the time.
All the time.
So you might be driving around and you might see something and you think, oh, you know, that could work. Would you then go to the land registry and get the owner's address and maybe contact them? How would you?
Land registry would be another one. Absolutely. If you see a property along the street, I mean, I was watching show jumping up in Cheshire last week, and in the high street where my hotel was, board up, property for sale. Great, mate. 2 big semis. It was an office. I'm on the phone. What's happening with it? You know, all the time, of course, all the time. You never stop. You're always on it 7 days a week, or you should be.
Awesome. Well, it's been a brilliant week here on Property Tribes. Thanks to John. And John, as ever, I have to say thank you to you for your support of Property Tribes. It is the support of our sponsors and advertisers and affiliates that help maintain this site as a free-to-use community resource. So I thank you very much for your support of Property Tribes, but also your wonderful contributions. You're so generous in sharing your knowledge. I always learn so much just being in your company. And I guess, you know, when somebody comes to one of your training days, we've only scratched the surface of what you actually deliver in your training day.
Absolutely. We've literally scratched the surface, and you know, it's full of content, and there's no fluff. It's from the moment we start, we've got to get on. There's a lot to talk about, and we're not. I mean, someone came to my one I did in Norwich recently and said, I think they said, well, I've just been on a course for the weekend for a few £1,000s, which slightly annoyed me, I have to say. And mine was on a Monday, and he was late and he was tired. And so I'm sorry I'm late. And I said, oh, that's no problem. And he stopped me after an hour and he said, can I stop you now? I said, are you okay? Are you happy with what I'm doing? Because if not, we can, you know, change it or whatever. And he said, no, John, I just want to say I've learned more in an hour than I did in 2 days over the weekend. Because we were just talking about mindset, and it's all fluff. And the reason these people talk about mindset for a day and a half is because they've got no content. They've done nothing. You know, the first thing I would say with any property educator, ask them what they've done. Or are they still doing it? What have they achieved? And if it's not a lot, then really, what's the point of going to them?
Absolutely. And I think, you know, you tell it like it is. You're not selling a ticket to see a unicorn, that you're going to be a multimillionaire in 12 months starting with no money. That's a completely different type of training. Totally John's in a different league. He's got an entry on Wikipedia. And I think, you know, John, I always cite you actually to go and look at your accounts on Companies House to show what a profile of a successful developer looks like, because not only do you have individual SPVs for all your different developments, but you actually have the management companies that then take over and manage them afterwards. You can see very substantial wealth there, and you know, you need to learn from somebody that's been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and John is most certainly that. So thank you very much for joining me on this week, Discovering Deals with John Howard. We've reached the end of it. I am going to put a link to John's training days, and do check out his website. Actually, you've got your bookstore. Yeah. And lots of resources on John's website. And as you can tell from all these interviews and John's contributions to Property Tribes, he's so approachable. He does answer emails. He does pick up his phone. And he's a wonderful resource for us all in the property community. So, John, don't go changing.
I'll try not to. I don't think I will at my age, so you're okay.
Well, good luck with everything you're doing.
Thank you.
And John mentioned his JHJVs, John Howard Joint Venture Fund. We're actually going to record a separate interview about that. So if you are interested, I can direct you to that as well. But for now, John, we're saying thank you. Been a brilliant week, so much information shared. And let's do it again sometime soon.
Let's do it. It'll be good fun.
It has been fun, and we've been sat in the lovely wine rack as well in the show flat at John's flagship project in Ipswich. So it's been lovely actually to come here and see how it's come on as well.
Because last time you're halfway through it, and now we've the 150 flats are completed. Yeah. I've spent all the money, and now I'm starting to get it back. So that's great.
Yes, that's the best bit. And we did say actually about heart versus head earlier, and I can tell you, John, I would very happily live in this show flat.
Well, it's available. We've moved it because we keep selling the show flats, but we've moved it, Vanessa. So if you and Nick are happy, we'll get signed up this afternoon, no problem.
Fantastic. All right. Cheers, John. So I hope you've been enjoying this week. Do drop any questions you've got for John underneath the thread. He is a member of Property Tribes and he does contribute. But for now, it's a goodbye from John and myself, and we wish you lots of luck in discovering your deals.